That concrete is the counterweight. The counterweight comes down. The entire span from tower to tower lifts straight up to the bollards. So that was a very important bridge back in 1932 when it was built, because we had a ton of barge traffic. The barge traffic was due to the lumber industry, crab boats, shrimp boats, things like that. Now it opens about maybe twice a year. It's just not as much big boat traffic like they used to be. And it takes less than a minute for it to open. I mean, it's very efficient. But they closed the bridge down last year to vehicular traffic. They're going to rip it down and build a modern high-rise bridge in the next year or so. I asked the workers, they said it was too unsafe to cross by a car. I mean, they could have asked me that 20 years ago, and I said it was too. I mean, really, it was rust falling on your windshield every time you. Like, what are you doing? But anyway, so I live 4.8 miles to the east. And that's the way I take to work, right here. Now I have to go up to the interstate, around to the town of Slidell, and to work 31 miles. Or I take my boat, which I typically do. Not today, but typically I'll just take my boat 4.8 miles. I'm here in 20 minutes. Now it takes me, 35 minutes to go all the way around. And it's just because they closed this little section of the highway. But it's kind of a bummer when they rip it down, because it's got character. I grew up with it. But I understand that. They can't keep trying to remanufacture parts because it's so old. It's better to just do infrastructure, put it in.
Oh yeah.
See a houseboat that sank during Hurricane Ida 4 years ago. If your boat sinks, or your house, anything sinks in the river, you get heavily fined. That guy I know got heavily fined, but he's supposed to have removed it now. I don't know the story on that. He had just bought it too, just like a couple of weeks before. It was renovated. There was no engines or anything, so at least that didn't go in the water. It was a towable boat. Now, all of these people along here, they make their living off the outdoors, and they typically, they can drive their car to the house. Most of the villages in small, it's boat only. I mean, there's a little road there that leads up to the highway, so it's pretty easy to get to. But yeah, they make their living off the outdoors, basically hunting, fishing, trapping, crabbing, crawfishing, catfishing, oysters, alligators, turtles, frogs. You get the idea. A lot of those industries that, I just named they're kind of fading. I mean, it's not from a lack of seafood. We're the second largest seafood industry in the United States, second to Alaska. It's just the fact that it's harder. Kids aren't getting out of high school and say, I'm going to make a career in seafood, Some do, but it's just not what it used to be. When I was a kid, I mean, my neighbor was a shrimper, a crabber, a catfishing person, a crawfishing person. I mean, everybody in the neighborhood did something like that. Now I got one shrimper in my neighborhood. It's just modernization of humanity, I guess you could say.
Right there. I think there's something in there.
People that have to pay taxes.
A lot of these little floating camps have been pulled up here just recently. Typically you'll find a lot of your camps downriver at the mouth of the river where the brackish water is, where it's a mix between fresh and salt. But they're starting to move their way back up this way because, well, first of all, your best duck hunting and fishing is downriver. And then they're slowly moving their way up this way. By July 4th, that's usually our cutoff. What I'm saying is that you have your barbecue, you enjoy yourself, then you start moving your houses upriver because that's the start of hurricane season. You don't want your house downriver. You want it as far up as you can get. And then once you get into fall, then you drag it back down. What you got to do is tie it up to your boat, drag it upriver, and drag it downriver. So we are under Napoleonic laws here in Louisiana, and it's actually legal. If you take a house like that and you anchor it in the river, and it does not touch land in any way whatsoever, you can actually live here tax-free. no, I mean, it sounds romantic, but you know, and I said that as a kid. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do that. It's not worth it. I mean, you got to deal with fluctuating water all the time. You have to have a